I left home when I was 16. My father and I had a huge falling out, and I left without looking back. I had always wanted out of that small town to try and make something better of myself. Finally, I've had enough, and when the opportunity presented itself, I seized it. That was 20 years ago, and although we remained distant from each other, I still checked in on my dad from time to time. 3 nights ago at 3 a.m., my father called me and told me he was sorry for everything and hung up the phone without saying another word. Moments later, I received a wire transfer from my father's estate in the amount of $100,000. I've been trying to reach my father for 3 days now, calling every hour, but the call goes right to voicemail, almost like the phone is dead. I managed to track down his neighbor through Facebook, and I asked him to go and check on him for me because a middle of the night apologetic phone call was out of the norm for someone as stubborn as my dad. The neighbor messaged me back and told me he seen my father leave in a rush in the middle of the night, which he thought was odd because he had left the dog behind, who he seemingly loved more than me. Fucking dog. Can't imagine being so loyal to someone who is such an asshole. So here I am back in this godforsaken shithole of a town, trying to track down my father, not knowing if he was really sorry or not, or maybe he was scared, or maybe something happened. It doesn't explain why he sent me $100,000 with no explanation. The man was so cheap he wouldn't break a 20 to lend you a dime. So here I sit in my almost broken down 1978 Lizard pickup. It's a long drive back to the farm. Let's make a few stops along the way to see if anyone else knows anything. Old Mr. Hollister, who owns Hollister Stores, is my father's neighbor, so naturally I stopped here first. All he remembers is being woken up in the middle of the night by my father's black pickup truck peeling out of the driveway. Not much help, but it's a start. Looking down at my map, I can see the important stops are marked for me by Mr. Hollister. We'll start across the street at the Lone Oak Company to see if they know anything and then continue on to the spinnery where my father sold the wool from his sheep, then possibly check the manure sell point to see if any of the workers had seen him. Then I'll check the bale sell point. Maybe he had an accident with a baler. Then past the shop where my father bought his truck to the biogas plant where my father would always tell the same dad joke every time he went there. "I got some gas for you," he would say. Then a quick stop at the sawmill, and I could never live with myself if something happened in there. And then from there it's a straight shot down to the farm. My father owned 5 fields in this town. Field number 41, 42, 32, 34, and 29. I almost hope that I don't find his pickup truck turned over or flipped in the middle of one of these fields in a horrible accident. Pulling out of Hollister Stores, Lone Oak Company is just across the street. I can see that there are cars parked out front, but no one is around. They might be out in the fields working, or they might be down at the bar drinking, which was always one of my father's favorite pastimes. A quick glance at my map, and we're off to the spinnery and the manure sell point to see if they know anything about my father's mysterious middle of the night disappearance. I know what you're thinking. How could anyone want to leave such a picturesque small town in middle America for something else? Well, I'll tell you, this small, picturesque town is not what it seems. There's always something going on behind the scenes, and people are always pretty tight-lipped about what they saw or didn't see at all. Up here on my left is mine and my father's favorite taco stand. It's been here for 40 years, so it might be a good idea to stop in and see if anyone knows anything. It is very odd that it is closed today. This place almost never closes. Even on late nights driving home from some girl's house, you could always trust that it would be there to help feed the hunger after an intense makeout session. Stan lives right next door to the taco stand. Let's see if he's around, although he might be out riding one of his many horses. He also sells them for $5,000 each if you're interested. He has this little house right here, so we'll just pull up to the driveway and see if his truck is there. I can see that Stan's truck is there, but I don't see Stan anywhere. He's usually out here in the horse paddock, but I don't see Stan anywhere. All I see are horses for sale for $5,000 each. Across the street from Stan's is the manure sell point in the spinnery. One of my earliest memories of my father is him taking me here to sell his wool after he had sheared his own sheep. Hopefully someone remembers who I am. It's been so long since I've been back here. I feel like a stranger. I see the prices are still pretty reasonable here. I wonder if they still sell those remarkably warm sweaters. It's nice to see the stream that I used to play in as a kid while my dad was selling the wool is still here. It's a very nice and relaxing place to sit and skip rocks. Up here on the left is where my old high school girlfriend lived. When I left 20 years ago, I didn't even say goodbye to her. I wonder where she is now. I wonder if she ever thinks about me. Oh well, bygones, I guess. We had some good memories in that field. Good memories. Up here on the right is where crazy old Mr. Myers lives. Whenever I see him in town, he would always say, "Life would be great if all I had was a small house in the middle of a field, and nothing but crops as far as the eye could see," he used to say. Well, looks like his crazy old dream came true. Here on the left is the bale selling point in this town. I can remember as a small child playing in the hayloft while my father argued with the owner about the weight of each bale because he thought he was getting ripped off for a few cents per pound of straw. Cheap bastard. I don't hear the baler running, so no one must be there. I don't even want to go in there for fear of what I might see. I'll give this town one thing. It is quiet right now. If it weren't for this traffic, all you would hear is the sound of my shitty pickup and the wind blowing. I never liked driving down the road to this house as a kid. I don't know what it is about this house, but it just creeps me out. Maybe it's the trees that line this unnecessarily long driveway. Maybe it's the flowing wheat fields to my left and right. It's beautiful, but it's fucking creepy. Let's hope I don't have to come back here anytime soon. It's nice to see this old girl still has some giddy up. Coming up to Mrs. Kramer's house on the right, I'm reminded of a time when I was 15 years old, stinking drunk on my father's moonshine, and I thought it would be a good idea to take her tractor for a spin. A few buckshots later from her shotgun, and I was proven wrong. I wonder if that crazy old lady can still shoot. Another time, perhaps. Directly across the street from crazy old Mrs. Kramer is Mr. Kramer, her ex-husband. He said he wanted to make sure that she was taking care of the farm she got in the divorce, so he bought the house across the street. Sometimes at night, you can still hear her shooting some buckshot in his general direction. Mr. Kramer is also the guy that sells my father his sheep, although driving up I don't see any, which is odd in itself, as there are always some sheep running around. I see his prices are still pretty reasonable. The shop where my father bought his truck is just up the road. Let's make a quick stop there. This place was always a meeting spot for local farmers to engage in a pissing contest about who had the better harvester. Sometimes my father would intentionally start an argument and leave, just to piss people off, and why not? It worked with me. It is very strange that there is no one here. It opens at 8 a.m. every day, and usually this place is packed. I don't even see any employees. I wonder where Mr. Manning is. He's always here, no matter what. Matthew Agri owns the biogas plant next door. Maybe he knows something. I used to make fun of Matt's last name, Agri, and say that he was aggravating. And now he owns the biggest biogas plant operation in 3 states, so who's laughing now? Not me. Certainly not my father. I wonder where everybody is today. The diner is right next door to the biogas plant. I wonder if they're open today. It's worth a shot. They serve alcohol, so it's possible my father is there at 8 a.m. for his trademark steak and eggs and Bloody Mary. Odd. All of the shutters are closed. They must not be open. I can't believe that Winterhawk's Auctions is still standing. He had a terrible fire a few years back and had to rebuild. The new shop looks good. This is where you can come to buy all of your animals if you have a trailer to haul them away in, or, for a small fee, Winterhawk will deliver them personally. Ah, yes, I remember this road. It leads straight out of town. That's the road I took when I left the house all those years ago. Let's flip a quick U-turn and head right. Now, this is a house that I remember vividly. This is the home of my childhood best friend, Tom. We spent many, many nights camped out in his back field, telling stories about girls we hadn't slept with and places we'd probably never visit. I wonder if he still lives here. Not very many people make it out of this town. Maybe Tom did, maybe not. I don't need to knock on his door and take a walk down memory lane right now. We've got something more important to do. Hauling ass down this road, I'm undecided if I'm anxious or nervous about what I might find at the farmhouse when I get there. Although I do want to find out what is going on, a small part of me doesn't want to know. Back here is a small forestry area that we used to have bonfires in when we were young. Just a bunch of dumb teenagers drinking and having fun until someone comes along and logs the whole thing into nothing. There are a couple of areas like that in this town. Trees grow, trees get cut down. That's life, I guess. While we were busy living it up around the bonfire, Mr. Granger, who lives at the end of this road, used to call the police on us all the time because we were underaged. I get it now. He was just trying to make sure that we didn't do anything stupid. But come on, what else were we supposed to do in this town? Hope to see you soon, Mr. Granger. It'll be good to catch up. The house at the end of this road burned to the ground years ago. It was a vacant house, so there's nothing up there but ashes and memories. Pulling into Ian and Son's sawmills, I can hear the faint sound of the mill running, the buzzing of the saw, and the misty cloud of sawdust covering the trees. Of all the things I miss from back home, the smell of oak logs being cut brings the memories flooding back. We're only about 5 minutes away from the Lone Oak Farm. Hopefully, when I get there, I won't see anything too surprising. It's nice to see that Mr. Ellis still hasn't paved the road to his pig farm. I remember Tom and I stumbling down this gravel road drunk as hell to see who could catch a pig first. I also remember Mr. Ellis sitting on his front porch watching us in our drunken state just to see if we could catch one. I don't think we ever did. It's good to see that Mr. Ellis is still in business, and it's good to see that his prices have still remained pretty reasonable. It's nice to know that there's free fuel anytime I need it. I'm sure Mr. Ellis won't mind for old time's sake. One more stretch of road to go, and we are at my father's farm. I hope to God he has some cold beer in the fridge. This has been quite a drive through town. Even if he is there when I get there, it'll be nice to see the old man again. It's been too long. This is one of the 5 fields that my father owns. I wonder why he hasn't planted anything. It's not like him to miss a planting season like this. And the field is fertilized, but there's nothing growing. Hmm, that is very strange. As I make the final left turn into my father's farmland, I hold my breath briefly. I'm almost scared to see what has happened. I can see Charlie is happy that I'm here, or he's happy that anyone's here, probably. Still looks the same. Charlie, here, boy. Here, Charlie. Where are you, Charlie? Hey, boy. It's been a long time. How are you? How's it going, Charlie? What happened here? Come on, boy. Timmy fall down a well? Speak. Aw, you big baby. Good boy, Charlie. Good boy. Let's figure this out. You got something for me? No? All right. We'll see you later, Charlie. That's strange. He didn't lock the front door. It doesn't look too messy in here. The fireplace is still burning. That can't be good. It's been burning for a while. The logs are black. I wonder if he's upstairs in his office. His office is extremely neat, which is strange in itself. He used to call this farm central, and he had papers everywhere. He would sit at these desks for hours and hours and hours, analyzing data, maximizing crop yields, ignoring my mother. God rest her soul, she hated this farm. The back porch was always a nice relaxing place to unwind after a hard day. I'm surprised it's so neat and organized back here. Usually everything is strewn about in a drunken state. You can tell when he came home on a bender and stumbled over the patio tables or the barbecue. It's not like that today. My father has a lot of farming equipment in the sheds back there. Maybe he's out there in one of the sheds working on a piece of equipment. However, that might be a stretch seeing as how his pickup truck isn't here. That's my truck in the driveway. That's the harvester. That's the loading wagon. That's the tipper. That's the seeder. That's the baler. It's the fertilizer sprayer and the cultivator, the harvester header, the header trailer. There's a plow and a mower and the weight for the front of the tractor. He's got a lot of stuff. Let's wander back there and see exactly what's happening. Maybe there's some sort of clue as to where my father went so fast and in such a hurry that he left the only thing he ever loved, this farm and that dog. Dad, you in here? Dad, anybody hear me? Strike number two, nobody there. Well, here's all of his equipment, and it's all relatively clean. It almost looks brand new. The tractor looks like it's never been driven until now. Well, I think we should take a look at exactly what we're dealing with here. Why don't we use this John Deere tractor and pull all of this equipment out into the open, and we'll take a little bit of an inventory. Maybe we'll see just what my father left behind, and then we can get a good idea as to maybe where he went. So this is a New Holland round baler. This piece of equipment here is the Einbach Aerostar weeder. This thing removes the weeds from all of your crops. We just unfold it. I'll show you what it looks like. It's pretty big. It unfolds from like 3 feet to 20 feet. It's massive. Whoops, my mistake. It's been a long time. This tractor weight actually goes on the back. Perfect. Let's open up this shed door. I think that there might be something in here. Hello? Dad? You in here? Come on out, buddy. Come have a beer with me. I'm home. Nothing but my echo. This is my dad's Kuhn GMD 4411 rear mower. This is another piece of equipment that I also think he fondly enjoyed using. He was always out cutting the grass every week like clockwork. 6 a.m. cutting the grass, making silage bales, you name it. This is my father's Kuhn Metris 4102 fertilizer spreader. I remember as a child asking my father where he was going one day, and he said, "Son, I'm going to spread the wings of shit." And I'll show you exactly what that means. This machine looks like it's spreading its wings. And that's what he meant, spreading the wings of shit. I somewhat miss those dad jokes. And here's an even bigger John Deere tractor than the one I'm driving. I want to drive the bigger one. This must be new. He didn't have it last time I was here. Let's park this one and we'll go grab the bigger one that I haven't driven yet. It is eerily quiet here on this farm without all the machines running. Ah, my father's blessed workshop. The only place I was never allowed to come as a child, for fear that he would yell at me for moving a tool or something, and I don't even want to go in there now, for fear that maybe he'll be watching. Just pop out of nowhere and yell at me for moving a wrench or a socket or something. Well, he's got lots of seed bags. It looks like he was getting ready to plant something before he mysteriously took off. It is very strange. Let's open up both these doors and get some air blowing through here. Oh, this is the bad boy of them all, the massive John Deere harvester. This thing is huge. Let's pull this out into the open and get a good look at it. Man, this thing certainly is massive. I almost think my father may have been overcompensating for something. Who knows? Like I said earlier, this must be new because this wasn't here last time I visited him. It was a few years back. It's a nice medium-sized John Deere tractor. Lights are good. This looks like a cedar. Oh yes, the Horse Pronto cedar, one of my father's pride possessions. The Horse Pronto. Wouldn't you know it? It's just like my dad to leave some miscellaneous trash laying around behind an equipment shed. Thanks, Dad. Here's the header to the massive John Deere harvester. The header looks pretty big too. Pretty sure we can just hook up to this with the tractor, pull it on out to the farm equipment yard sale that we seem to be having in my father's absence. This is my father's Lemken plow. It's a nice size plow. It's a nice color blue. Contrasts very nice with the John Deere green. Oh, and there's the rest of the equipment. We'll grab that in a minute. This looked like my dad's old Bergman Repex loading wagon. No, I was right. This thing's been in the family for years. Still looks fairly new. He takes good care of his equipment, I'll give him that. Although he is slightly neglecting his farm at the moment, I'd still like to know where he went. It's very odd that he would just up and disappear with so much equipment and so much to do. This is the Amazon Cineus. Looks like a cultivator. Still, again, looks fairly brand new. I don't even think he's used it. Crazy. And this last piece of equipment here is the Joskin Drekar tipper. Let's pull that out and put it with the rest of them, and then we'll see exactly what's happening here. All right, so here's the baler and the weeder. There's the mower and the fertilizer spreader. There's the small John Deere tractor, the John Deere harvester, the seeder. There's the header that attaches to the harvester on top of the header trailer, which makes it easy to pull around. Here's the medium-sized John Deere tractor. Here's the plow. And over to the right of the plow, here's the cultivator. Then we have the loading wagon and the tipper. But one question still remains, folks. Where in the hell is my father?